Welcome back to Crazy Rare with Bugge and Zogg. We're here with our guest, Jessica. Hi, how are you?
Good.
Good. Do you want to introduce yourself? Are you from here? All that?
Well, let me see here. So I always like to label myself as Central New York's most recognized, well-known psychic reader, basically. I've been here in Syracuse for about 10 years now, give or take. But I feel like just been here my whole life, basically, how much I just kind of blended in with everything, just fit right into everything. But yeah, I'm I'm Central New York's person that everybody comes to when they are confused, when they are uncertain, when they feel like their counselor's not listening anymore, their therapist doesn't understand anymore. So I'm the person a lot of people come to for that guidance. And I take that with a lot of pride, to be honest with you. It's a lot of responsibility,
I'm sure
but
it is.
I enjoy it. I love doing what I do. But yeah, I hail from Camillus. I come all the way from Camillus for you guys today, and I think it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna enjoy it.
So, when did you realize that you had this ability?
So that always is the number one question everyone loves to ask. It's the number one go-to. So I give the story that I always give all the time, which is I have been able to feel this gift for almost all my life. If I can go as far back as I can, it's just a sense of a connection that I've been able to pick up on. You don't know what that is though when you're a kid. You don't know
Mm-hmm.
what that is when you're younger. But as I grew older, I mean, the story I give to everybody is when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old, I went up to a complete stranger, which is a no-no, when you're younger.
Mm-hmm.
But um, I went up to somebody, and it was a gentleman, and I seen somebody crying next to him, and I tell him, and I go up to him, and I'm like, "Your mama says she's okay. Your mom says she's fine." And he's just looking at me, and he's like, I, imagine a kid coming up to you,
Right.
right? Because to me, I see her. To me, I'm seeing this, and as a kid, the instinct, and I'm someone who's all just always wanting to help. When you're a kid, you want to help. You want to be there, and so he's just looking at me with these big eyes, and my mom runs up. I was just like 2 seconds, literally just 2 seconds there. My mom runs up to him and she's like, "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." And he just looked at my mom and said, "You understand? My mom passed away a week ago and I'm not okay with it. But she's saying my mom is here." And so after that, my mom realized there's something going on. There's a little bit something extra special going on here. And so like she didn't throw me there. There was no like school to throw me in. There's
Right.
no training center. But as I connected with other people, and remember, this is back in the early 90s, so there was real no
Right.
connection groups, reach outs. It was just kind of always amongst what was said and word of mouth, basically. So essentially, long story short, as I grew up, I also took on my own initiative of being able to connect stronger with my abilities, but also on a nurturing factor. I also learned a lot of different type of cultures, different to get a better understanding of disability. So for some people, they may just pick up a book and say, "Oh, this is what I have. This is what it means. This is what I says." To myself, I'm very analytical. I think one of you get that a little bit. That's what I pick up on. So you understand being very loving to pull back the layers of as much as I can information wise. So through the time that I grew up, every time I was able to, I would connect with other people, other types of readers, other type of, spiritualists that would help me understand my abilities and get a better connection with myself. But essentially that's where it stems from and started from for me was at a young age. And as time went by, I just nurtured it, grew it, connected with it stronger.
So, is it constant? Like, if you're in a store, like, there's.
So it's a good question. I'll tell you why. So during COVID, I really did stay away from a lot of people only because there was so much energy going on. There was so much
Right.
insecure. Like it is
Yeah.
just a wave of constant. Okay. So during COVID, I kind of stood away a lot from a lot of people as much as I could, like out there, because even though I can turn it off and on, if it's a very overpowering type of energy, nobody can control that. You understand? Um,
How do you turn it off?
well, so there's ways of me being able to kind of ignore it. Imagine having your kid and your kid just, da, 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 da. There comes a point to where you just kind of start to
Right.
zone it out and it just becomes like a white noise in the background, basically. So that's how my gift essentially allows me to connect with people and control it. So that way I can kind of turn it on and turn it off almost, because I've been able to adapt with that, my surroundings and everyday life, basically.
So when you walked in here, did you feel anything? Do you see spirits? Do you see anything?
So
Or no?
a lot of times I will feel things.
Okay.
A lot of spirits, I respect their privacy, basically, you know.
Right.
So, but again, if this ain't Ghost, you know, Patrick Swayze,
Right.
all of that. It ain't gonna be like somebody just coming into me and I'm gonna say, I'm your mother from 3 years ago. Essentially, when I walk into a room, when I walk into an energy, I'll pick up on negative or positive vibes first of all. Okay, so if there's negative vibes, then I start to say, okay, where is this coming from? What's
Right.
happening here? But if there's positive vibes, I'm like, oh, we're good. I'm good. We're good, you know. But the moment that there's negative vibes, then I say, where's it coming from? Why is it here? And then so I will do sometimes private events. I'll go out to people's establishments, places, whatever have you. And they'll ask me, you know, is there spirits here? And 9 times out of 10, there's spirits, you know, 9 times out of 10, unless you're a brand new place, but 9 times out of 10.
Meaning like the house?
Yeah, the houses. I did an event in Skinny Atlas at that inn, you know, there's
The Sherwood Inn?
yeah, the Sherwood Inn, and it was just flowing, like it was never stopping, like any second. Like I felt it from the moment I walked in to the moment I left. There was just so many spirits there. And the host of the event goes and asks me, she's like, you know, do you feel anybody? I'm like, oh yeah, we got friends. We got a lot of friends, you know. So walking into a space, yes, I can pick it up on it, and then if they want to know more, yeah, we'll discuss it. But a lot of people kind of get a little anxious when we start to talk about things like that. So, by the way, you're fine here. Nothing to worry about here going on. So, but we're good. We're good here.
So do you do like if someone like a psychic reading and then you can connect to their loved ones? That's what you do?
Yeah.
Because my daughter really wants to do one. Yeah, I know. She told me to ask you.
So there's a difference then between a medium and a psychic.
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up.
Okay.
Because there is a difference. Medium is always going to connect with those who've passed on. Spirits.
Okay.
That is the literal label for like a medium, basically.
Okay.
And then for psychic wise, okay, that is going to focus more on person, you know, what's going on with yourself, what's going on with your energy. And that's what allows us to kind of disconnect from one to the other.
Okay. And you do both. Okay.
My medium sessions, though, I tell us, even no matter who called, I say to everybody, I don't just sit down and say, okay, let's do a medium session. I say, first of all, if you want to connect with me for one, I ask straight out, what is this concerning? Are you looking for closure? I only connect with spirits, with people who need closure, who are going through something. But I'm not going to sit there and have them say, well, how's the other side? Do you have tea or coffee?
Right,
you know,
right,
I don't do that, because I respect the spirit. I respect those. But for my regular psychic readings, you know, it is, come on in, we'll discuss whatever. It's a non-judgmental environment. Whatever we want to pick up on, what we want to discuss, we're just open to it, basically. But yeah, coming to me for a medium session is a whole different thing.
Okay.
Now, if there is a spirit who wants to bring forward a message, though, I'll bring it no matter what. You know, I'll present it no
Good
matter
or bad.
what. Good or bad. And
Okay.
even with my sessions, I tell people straight off, whatever I see is exactly how I tell you.
Okay.
You know, so again, people get nervous when they hear that.
Yeah.
But the one thing I always say is we all have our difficulties. We all have our challenges. We all have our seasons in our life. I tell you or explain to you what to expect and your best avenues of how to handle those situations moving forward. So it's just kind of peeking behind the curtain a little bit, so that way you know what to expect and what's coming up. So that kind of helps bring the energy down a little bit once I explain that to them.
Okay.
Is it better to do them in person or on the phone? What do you think?
Personally, I prefer them in person, but that's just my personal opinion. This is a very emotional, delicate type of service therapy, and when you're in person, my office has crystals and stuff like that, so you feel very calm. You can focus on what we're discussing and talking about. Doing over the phone, I do offer it. I've got I've got clients in Europe. I got clients in Dublin. I got clients, all over. So doing virtual is not a problem for me, because what I'm able to do is picking up on the voice. The vibrations off the voice is what allows me to connect with you. So that's where the phone part kind of connects. But with the in-person, it just feels more connected. You feel more like in the moment, and you can listen and pay attention more instead of having the background noise kind of being like, oh, I gotta focus on this, I gotta focus on that. But for me, it's just more connected when you're in person, essentially.
Okay. Do you have a lot of people that like criticize it and like don't believe in it?
Oh,
And how do you-
skeptics.
yeah, skeptics. And how do you deal with that?
Actually, which is funny, I encourage this for everybody. I encourage everybody to be a little bit skeptic at least, because I'll tell you why. In my line of business, okay, because it is a business. It literally has become a huge business.
Right.
Okay, multi-billion-dollar business. All right. I always say, do your reviews, look into see, check, get connected with who you're going to see. You understand? Because one, we don't want your first experience to be a bad one. I hate when I hear that. I hate when I hear somebody say, one, this person just kept asking me questions and didn't really just tell me. For you to be in your environment and be able to handle your type of ability, you should be able to just boom, 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 just give it all, give it right there information. But when you're kind of always pulling for information, that tells me, one, you're not confident in your abilities. And this is a business. If you're going to turn a business into a spiritual nature, you better be confident in both sides, not just
Right.
one. You understand?
Right. Yeah.
So that's again a kind of a difference with my nature of how I work. Is I'm very professional, but I'm also very, down to earth. So there's a connection with both. You understand? But for me, what I say is, and I have tons of people, believe me, you'd be surprised how many people reach out to me and they tell me straight off the bat on a phone call. They're like, I'm not sure, I'm a skeptic. I tell them, come on in. I prefer like that, because you know why? You're coming in realistic. You're not just coming in with the expectation of me saying, your grandma came from, 2 weeks ago and she's saying you're okay. Uh, you're coming in with a little bit of skepticism, because that proves to you, not me, it proves to you that you're actually having someone really be able to read you. You're actually giving me, people say, am I challenging? Some people are challenging, but that's only because they're so blocked off, they don't want to. They're not allowing me to connect with them. You understand? Or they're trying to prove points. Proving points don't work with me very well. So I still find my way to get through what I need to.
When you say not allowing you to connect with them, what
Yeah.
is the best way for you to connect with somebody?
It's a good question, but it's just,
Is it just relaxing?
yeah, that's the word. Relaxing. Again, the very beginning, you're going to be a little apprehensive, and I'm okay with that. I'm
Right.
fine with that. But if you're still fighting every little thing, that now just counterproductive.
Right.
Now you're just trying to prove to yourself that this isn't real, and you're not allowing things to flow naturally like they should.
Right.
So that's the kind of the problem with that area. Have I had that a lot of times? Maybe a handful in my 17 years of doing this, essentially. But most of the time, because people see at the very beginning how professional I am, they see how very connected I am, how very open I am, it allows them to kind of just be where they need to be with me. And I'm okay with that.
I have a question. I've heard people say that like kids are kind of born with it when they're little. I've heard that, whatever. Like they kind of have a sense. And there were a couple things my son did when he was
Yeah.
little that I'm like, really weird. And then it went away.
Yeah.
Do you agree with that? And what does that really mean? Like, do they?
So yes and no. Okay. So not not everybody has abilities what they're born with at day one. It's just, it ain't true.
Okay.
Okay. But what I do agree with is that in your younger years, yes, there is a lot more connection to the spiritual world, because the veil, I call it,
That makes
is
sense.
thinner. Imagine wearing a veil when you're younger. Things are much more thinner. It's easier to see. We're naive. We're open. We're not burned by everyday situations that hardens the heart. You understand? So when they're younger, they are able to connect to the other side a little bit more because they are more open. They're just more connected because they're more innocent almost.
They're almost not aware.
Exactly.
Right.
It's allowing them to just kind of, and again, that's why spirits do come to the children a lot more, is because they're more receptive. It's like I said, the veil is thinner, so it's able for them to communicate and connect with them a lot easier than it would be for an adult. Because for an adult, what happens when something spiritual happens? A lot of time we have to find a reason for it. We have to try to, oh, it's a flash of light. It's, I didn't sleep enough last night. We have to justify the spiritual connection and action as opposed to really absorbing it and being in the moment. Recently, within the recent years, though, what's good is people are starting to be a little bit more open spiritually, which I've seen. But I say it's good and bad because I get clients who call and they'll give me an example of what's going on. And I tell them, not everything is a spiritual situation. Sometimes it is maybe a leaky roof. Sometimes you are just having a bad day, things along those lines. But so what's good is we are shifting more towards a much more open spiritual nature and world. You just said it yourself, with your child, your son, he did things that kind of, wowed you. And 20 years ago, nobody would have said that. 20 years ago, we would never mention that because then it'd be like, why? Is something wrong with him?
Right.
We would look for the reason of why. So now that's why you're seeing the community, the spiritual community, has begun to be open more with each other. The Kardashians, they all have psychics. They all been the psychics. They all, Kim Kardashian mentioned, she had 3 psychics and they all told her this. Professionally in the entertainment world, I can't remember. My husband told me though, there's a baseball team that had a psychic come and cleanse the whole stadium one
really?
time. So I can't remember who it was,
Yeah,
but I
I don't
remember he
know.
told me that, and it's interesting to see the wave coming, basically.
Oh yeah, I think it's definitely gotten a lot bigger. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But for myself, that's why I say, for children though, coming back to that, they are more receptive because again, the veil is thinner. They are just more open to what's going on instead of us trying to find answers or finding the reasoning of why something happens. So that's kind of the answer to your question, basically.
Okay.
Do you have like a client, like a story that really sticks out?
So I have to be very careful on how I put that out, but because privacy wise, I know it sounds weird to hear this. A lot of times I will have similar situations with a lot of clients a lot of times, okay? Because that's the world. That's life. Love, career, money, it's the same thing a lot of times, okay? Very few and far between though, I will have special clients and special cases. I have a client of mine who has actually been seeing me for many years now. Wonderful lady, wonderful woman. When I first seen her though, she was in such a difficult state because her life was just all over the place. She didn't know where she was going. She was in a marriage that she wasn't happy, but she felt obligated to stay with the partner. Fun fact though, is something kept nagging her. Why is she unhappy in her marriage if everything else looks fine? She couldn't find a reason and she kept blaming herself. Now, she was also seeing a therapist at the time. And the therapist was telling her, you're just insecure, there's no proof, this and that. They go very, by the book, essentially. So she comes in to see me and she says, why am I unhappy in my marriage if everything is fine? Why am I unhappy if everything is good in my marriage? So we sit down, I talk with her for a little bit. Then I look at her, I look back on my cards, and I look back at her, and I'm like, okay, here we go. Your partner's cheating on you. Oh yeah. And she's like, why? What? No. She was adamant that it was not happening, right?
Really?
And I'm like, no, he's got somebody. He's got somebody. He is not being honest with you. And she's like, well, who is it? So I'm looking and I explained to her, this is somebody from work. This is somebody that she's not really met. So I'm telling her and I'm explaining the person, and then her eyes slowly looks up at me. She goes, no. I go, you know who I'm talking about? She goes, it's somebody he met at work at a business trip, and he told me a little bit about her, but so she gets nervous, and I'm like, come start looking here. I said, I gave her instructions, pay attention at this certain time, bring this information to him. We set up a plan almost. So we went back and forth a couple of sessions, and then after about 4 or 5 weeks, she comes to me. She tells me, you were right. She's like, I didn't want to believe it, but you were right. And she hired a private investigator.
Wow.
And she brought me the pictures. And I'm like, this is the reason why you've been unhappy. Your energy.
It was kind of like her gut feeling, right?
Yeah. It was, and that's the most saddest part for women, by the way, is when we're being cuckoo and we're being gaslit almost because we know something's up,
Yeah.
So she brings me the proof from the private investigator, and then she looks at me and she's like, we're going to destroy him. I'm like, no, we're not. No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. No. We're here to simply fix for you to be happy, right?
So go back to that. So you use cards.
Well,
so how
different
is it
tools.
You do? Yeah. What tools do you use?
So some people don't like the cards, by the way.
Okay.
So they feel very like it's it's the door to the demon world. It's only evil spirits come through with the cards.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I say yes and no to that. Depending on the tool of how you use it, you're right. Because there are people who are into very negative situation. There is people who are negative, unfortunately. When I say negative, people straight think of witchcraft. People think straight into those type of things. That's a very careful way you have to handle that, okay? Because not everything in witchcraft is evil, but also not everything in witchcraft is good either. Again, it depends on a lot of different things. But what I'm saying is, depending on their intention and how they use it is how it's going to be used forward. So to answer your question, the tarot cards, I use them as a tool because some people like them. They like to see the spread. They like to see what it looks like, But it is a tool for me to help myself kind of putting the story together, and it allows me to see kind of what's going on. And then I have my full life reading, which puts the psychic reading and the tarot cards put together at the same time. So what I can't get from the cards, I'm going to pick up psychic wise. So I say psychic wise, it allows me to connect a little bit more emotionally. I can pick up a little bit more specific details, as the card just kind of lays it out for us to kind of get to the gist of things and kind of figure a pattern and a plan of what's going on. Basically.
And it's all a random draw.
Oh yeah.
Right? So
funny,
if we were there together, what you might draw for me, you might not draw for her.
Yeah,
correct?
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, funny thing is, a lot of times you will draw not the exact layout every time, but when you're doing the cards, if you haven't changed, like if you go and come back 2 days later, you're going to get the same information. It's not going to be different because you haven't changed nothing. So that's what's interesting about the cards is you'll pull the same cards no matter how many times if you haven't changed or done anything different.
How is that?
How do we breathe? It's interesting how the energy knows how to handle the card. Now, another thing too is a lot of people will tell me I was gifted the tarot deck and I use it for myself, and they'll say I can't get the same information like you do. You have to connect with your cards. It's not just picking up a deck and putting it down and that's it. You can get playing cards. It don't gotta be tarot cards. Back in the day, a long time ago, people used to use playing cards to read fortunes. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
And so it does it. I don't do the playing cards, but with the playing cards, people would use them for the same information. You understand? So my point is, if your energy can connect with the cards, you'll get the information you need. But if your energy cannot connect with those cards, you're going to get a dud every single time. And there's actually people who will do tarot readings for friends, and my client will come to me and say, well, my friend did it a week ago. And then I'll look at them. I'm like, first of all, I don't encourage friends doing readings for you, because sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes their wants for you will come through the cards. So if you're asking, should I stay in this job? Your friend's energy might feel that they don't want you in that job because they know you're unhappy. So when they put the cards out, it'll say, don't stay in this job. But that's because their want for you is coming through the cards,
So
essentially.
it's all your energy.
Exactly.
And you
It's
not knowing the person.
all
So,
energy. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, they come. I have no idea.
So that's better.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
So you can feel our energy right now, just
Oh, yeah.
sitting here.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
She said it's good. Hopefully. Then again.
You've been a little bit more stressed than she has, unfortunately. I know you were mentioning type A earlier, but you got your own little things going on.
Ooh, girl.
She's right. Yeah, she's not
But I'm
lying.
married to Dot. Doesn't she know that?
I'm married to David,
Yeah,
so
that's true.
But no, good. And sometimes, and again, it hasn't happened a lot. I have had clients come in and I don't even let them walk through the door.
what?
Really?
What do you say to them?
Because it's such negative? Really?
I'm like, I'm not gonna waste my time with you. I depending on how they are,
Interesting.
you know, because the only time that's happened though is because they come combative,
Okay.
you know, matching energy.
You can just feel it.
Oh yeah. You know, if there's people that are scared, then I'm very delicate with them. I'll make them laugh. I'll make the environment more comfortable. You understand? Then there are those who won't crack a smile for nothing. And I'm a very like happy-go-lucky person. I try to anyways.
Yeah.
I try to be very uplifting. I try to be very positive, you know. And then there are those who just want to hear it and be done with it. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm good with that. So I'm always matching energy. But there was a client of mine who, well, not a client of mine, but someone who wanted to come in. It was a guy, and I can just feel the bad vibes off of him. Like, because he didn't call, he just showed up, you know. And I was younger when this happened.
He didn't set up an appointment?
No, he just came, and he's like, I need to see you today. Oh yeah. So I'm like, so sometimes there's emergencies. They're totally understand. In fact, I keep times open for clients who are in emergencies, actually. Oh yeah, it's fun. So I looked at him, and I'm younger, mind you, you know. So I think I was only doing professionally like 3 or 4 years, basically. And he's like, I need to see you today. I need to see you right now. I looked at him, and I'm like, I'm not seeing you. He goes, I got money. I'm like, I don't care. I'm not seeing you. He goes, why will you not see me? And I just sat there for a minute, and I'm thinking, again, I'm trying to be early in my business, so I'm trying to be professional, when in reality, I want to say, I don't like you. I just want to say, you give me the creeps,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So I just looked at him, and I'm like, we can't connect. We're just not going to match up. A week later, I get the heebie-jeebies when I think about it. A week later, he was in the paper that he was stalking women
Jesus.
and following them and then like attacking them.
Oh my God.
Oh yeah. And I'm like, I'm looking at the newspaper. I'm like, oh God. I'm like, that could have. Oh my gosh. So again, it opens you up to the world we live in.
Right.
The type of business I am in, we have people who are unfortunately going through sometimes mental health crisis. You wonder, and I've had that happen. I had a young lady come see me not that long ago, actually, and I literally told her straight out, I'm like, you have to see a counselor. You have to see, I can't help you. You need to see somebody professional. I'll help you find somebody professional. And she just wouldn't listen. She just wouldn't accept it. And because she's saying, no, it's a spiritual problem. And I told her, no, it's not a spiritual problem. You need mental help. You need something that's going to, medication, something. So that's why I say not everything is spiritual.
Right.
But I will say I do have clients who have seen counselors and therapists literally 5-6 years. And they have told me, you've helped me so much in a year and a half more for what we've done than what I've had happen with my counselor or therapist, because people go through negative energy. People do absorb negative energy sometimes. So even if we're doing all the talking with friends, family, therapists, counselors, whatever have you, if we are, I would say, think about like this water bottle, basically. If we're more full of water, we got to release it. And eventually has to be empty, because that's what it's supposed to do. It's not meant to hold water forever. It's only meant to be held for a little bit of time. You understand? So if we're having all of that negative buildup, especially coming from people of dealing with having people who are lawyers, for example, they deal with stuff every single day. People who are correctional officers deal with negative things every single day. So how do you release it if it's only building up? And if you are, so certain people are a little bit psychic themselves, and I do bring that up to couple people. So when you have that a little bit open more door, you're more receptive to that negative energy. You're
Right.
more receptive to absorbing it. People who are in unhappy marriages for a very long time. I'm talking 10 years. That is building up negative energy, unfortunately, because you're in a very negative mindset, sun up to sundown. You understand?
Yeah.
So that's why I say if you're on a mental health journey, you should look into not just mental health, but also spiritual health as well. There are pastors and preachers who also do, counseling. The only difference between me and everybody else is sometimes you don't know where it's stemming from. Sometimes you don't know where it is. Again, I've had clients who've done so much work on themselves from their past, and having to go through so much understanding of where it came from and why it happened. And sometimes you can't get that answer still.
Right.
I laugh because I had a client of mine say, I went and did hypnosis, right? I've never done it. I have never had someone do hypnosis for me, but it's interesting to see the lengths people will go to try to figure out why they're unhappy and what's going on, when sometimes it's just a few things that have to be moved around,
Right.
but it's also about being accountable for your actions as well. You get what I'm saying? So again, being in a job you're unhappy with, if you're staying in the same job, you're not changing it, it ain't going to change,
Right.
especially in this market. But we can definitely say that what I'm happy about is, do I see the past 5 years, I want to say, I have seen more and more clients. I've always been popular, but I'm seeing more and more people coming to me is what I've noticed, more than ever. You understand? Local wise. The one thing I've also noticed with the change of social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, people are finding themselves, because of the algorithm, will bring them to someone who does readings, who is spiritual, whatever have you. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's also because with social media, it's bringing things to the surface a little bit more than you expect it to. So I think that's what's bringing the conversation up around.
Right.
So bad thing with that There's always a good side and a bad side, though, is with social media, like TikTok and stuff. People can very easily take what's given to them and think it's for them when it's just a broad base, basically. So that's why I say if you're going to be serious to do a reading, or if you're going to be serious to start going on that spiritual journey, focus a little bit more on a more personal psychic, a more personal, spiritual counselor, than to do like the broad type of social media aspect, basically.
Okay. So where are you located?
Camillus.
Camillus, you're in Camillus. You just have your own space and
Well, I have my office.
okay, your office.
Yeah, I have my office. You come in, you sit down. Everyone has always told me it's a very comfortable space, so I like it. And I love during the springtime, I have windows. My windows are like all over and on top. So it's a comfortable space. That way people can feel like, again, a professional. There's a professional sense to it, as opposed to just walking into an open house and, I don't know if I can say this or not, but there is somebody who does readings who has a pet pig.
Oh, jeez.
I can't remember her name.
Here locally?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
People who come to me after they've seen her, they laugh and they tell me, they're like, I had my reading done. I'm like, how was it? And they tell me, oh, we sat down and so did the pig. And I'm like, there is somebody for something every time out there. So I think it's funny.
Me either.
I can't remember who it is. Like I never met her personally, but she's been doing it for a very long time. She's been doing it for a very, very long time.
Are there a lot of people like you around here?
Oh, there is.
There is. Okay.
There is. Again, I know a big boom has happened since COVID. So there has been a lot more people who've stepped into this business. Okay. A lot of people don't last in this business as well, because again, if you can't handle the business aspect of it, then it doesn't matter how good you are, because you have to know how to balance both sides, basically.
Right. That makes sense.
And again, I've had clients who actually had somebody call me not that long ago, and she told me she talked with somebody and sat down with somebody, and she just kept asking questions. Like there's no information being given to you. It was just her mainly asking her questions.
That would be suspicious to me.
Yeah, I would say so. You have to have confidence. Like even for you girls, if you don't have confidence in what you're doing, it ain't going to come through.
Right.
You're not going to connect with who you need to. Right. So that's why you're right. There is we have the psychic fair too, who come that comes to, they're coming to Sharkies apparently. So I think there's one that Sheraton does maybe sometimes, but
do you go to it?
No.
Oh no.
No. I don't like to do psychic fairs, essentially, because it's just not, it's not me. That's not me. I prefer my privacy a little bit more. Like I'll do events, don't get me wrong, because I like to go out there sometimes. It's fun to meet with people too. It's fun for me. I do Harbor Fest. I go to Oswego. I do Harbor Fest every year. Oh, I know.
It's went to school.
It's like a smaller fair. It's the New York State Fair. It's a small, tiny fair. Yeah. So it's more fun for me.
Yeah.
I do, what other ones do I do every year? I didn't do Pride last year, but I usually do Pride every year, which I love to do Pride. And then I do a couple events throughout every year, basically. But the main ones I always look forward to is Harbor Fest. I look forward to Pride, things like, cause it's the environment. The environment's very comfortable.
So when you're set up at Harbor Fest, anybody can just come up to your booth? Is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah, because again, it makes them feel more comfortable.
Yeah.
It makes them giving people a chance to just kind of get a feel for it, see me. Because there are clients and there are people who are very like apprehensive to even call, like they're scared. I had someone call me one time and she's like, I seen your picture. I feel more comfortable coming out to see you, but I get scared because I don't know what your space looks like. I'm like, something weird. There's no voodoo, there's no hoodoo, there's nothing weird going on, in my space. It's very comfortable. So once they see you and I'm not walking around with double horns or not walking around with a cape or something, they get more comfortable to sit down and giving them a chance to see what it's like.
Okay. All right. Can you let us know how we can find you? Are you on social medias? What's your first and last name too?
So I just go by Jessica.
Jessica? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But you can so I go my office in Camillus is Readings by Jessica.
Readings.
I have a Facebook, I got a Instagram, ESP by Jessica.
Okay.
But you'll always find me on Google. My website is mainly where people come to see me.
Okay.
Which is readingbyjessica.com. But so if you want to come in, please call.
Okay.
I'm old school. I am not, I mean, I get messages, emails. I'm waiting for the smoke signals to come any day at this point now.
Okay.
But making a phone call is just a lot easier to connect with me, basically.
Okay. And we'll have Danny put all your stuff at the end
Oh,
too.
yay.
All right.
Thanks, Danny.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming. This is very interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.